Hello learners. Let's trace the changes through 1,000 years. First, analyze it by looking at some ancient maps drawn by cartographers. They are the people who make maps. Map 1 shows a section of the world map drawn by the geographer Al-Idrisi in the 12th century, showing the Indian subcontinent from land to sea. This was made in 1154 CE by the Arab geographer Al-Idrisi. Map 2 shows the subcontinent from the early 18th century by Atlas Nouveau of Guillaume de L'Islet. This was made in the 1720s by a French cartographer. Despite being of the same location, the two maps are extremely different. South India is where we would expect to find North India on Al-Idrisi's map, while Sri Lanka is the island at the top. Place names are written in Arabic, and some are well known, such as Kannauj in Uttar Pradesh, spelt in the map as Kannauj. Map 2 was created almost 600 years after Map 1, during which time the subcontinent's information had altered dramatically. This map looks more familiar to us, and the coastal areas are surprisingly detailed. On their trips, European sailors and merchants used this map. Let's analyze the new and old terminologies. As you have seen, the meanings of words change over time. The term Hindustan is known as India, the modern nation-state today. The term was first used in the 13th century by Minhaj-i-Siraj, a chronicler who wrote in Persian. The term was used in a political sense for lands that were a part of the dominions of the Delhi Sultan. Areas included in this term shifted with the extent of the Sultanate, but it never included South India. In the early 16th century, Babur used Hindustan to describe the geography, the fauna, and the culture of the inhabitants of the subcontinent, same as how 14th century poet Amir Khusrai used the word Hind. Even if the idea of a geographical and cultural entity like India did exist, the term Hindustan did not carry the political and national meanings associated with it today. A simple term like foreigner is used today to mean someone who is not an Indian. In the medieval period, a foreigner was any stranger who appeared in a given village, someone who was not a part of that society or culture. In Hindi, the term Pardasi might be used to describe such a person, and in Persian, Ajnabi. A city dweller might regard a forest dweller as a foreigner, but two peasants living in the same village are not foreigners to each other, even if they have different religious or caste backgrounds. Let's now discover about historians and their sources. Historians use different types of sources to learn about the past, based on their period of study and nature of the investigation. Coins, inscriptions, architecture, and textual records will provide information. The number and variety of textual records increased dramatically during this period, slowly displacing other types of available information. Paper gradually became cheaper and more widely available. It is used to write holy texts, chronicles of rulers, letters and teachings of saints, petitions, and judicial records, and for registers of accounts and taxes. Manuscripts collected by wealthy people, rulers, monasteries, and temples are placed in libraries, and archives provide a lot of detailed information to historians, but are also difficult to use. Here, archives is an important term, which means a place where documents and manuscripts are stored. Today, all national and state governments have archives where they keep all their old official records and transactions. No printing press, so scribes had to copy the manuscripts by hand, and they made slight changes while doing so. These changes over the centuries grew, thus making manuscripts of the same text different from each other. Hence, to find the manuscript by the original author became difficult, and have to depend on copies by scribes. So, to comprehend the full information, we have to read varied manuscripts of the same text to know what was originally written. Authors also revised their chronicles at various times. 14th century chronicler Ziauddin Barani wrote his chronicle first in 1356, and another version 2 years later. But historians did not know about the existence of the first version until the 1960s, as it remained lost in large library collections. Let's now see which new social and political groups emerged. The study of the 1,000 years between 700 and 1750 is a huge challenge to historians, largely because of the scale and variety of developments that occurred over the period. It was a period of great mobility. Groups of people traveled long distances in search of opportunity. One group of people who became important in this period were the Rajputs, a name derived from Rajaputra, the son of a ruler. Let's now see how this Rajaputra group modified, and what is its process in the form of flowchart. The development of the Kshatriya caste system. First, Rajaputra means the rulers. Then it started to be applied to a group of warriors who claimed Kshatriya caste status. Then with rulers, chieftains, soldiers, commanders who served in the army of different monarchs all over the subcontinents. Poets and bards of these Rajput rulers ascribed some great qualities, such as great valor and immense sense of loyalty to these rulers. Other groups of warriors were Marathas, Sikhs, Jats, Ahoms, and Kayasthas, also used this opportunity. During this period, some other changes also happened, like clearing of the forests, development of agriculture. Forest dwellers migrate due to forest cutting, and some of those became farmers. Difference in land, so status difference. Division in jatis or subcastes on the basis of backgrounds and occupations. Ranks were not fixed permanently. With the change in society, people grouped into jatis or subcastes, and were ranked on the basis of their backgrounds and their occupations. These ranks, however, were not permanent, and changed with power, influence and resources controlled by the jati. Status of the same jati also varied from area to area. Rules and regulations to manage the conduct of members were framed by jatis and enforced by an assembly of elders, which also came to be known as Jati Panchayat in some areas. However, jatis also had to follow the rules of the villages. Several villages were governed by a chieftain. Now, from here we are ending this video, as till now, you have gone through half of the chapter and understood lot about the changes happened in thousands of years in India. To understand more, go through our next video of this topic. You can also read the docs available of this topic on EduRev, and attempt tests to increase your understanding. Thank you for watching this video.